I had a full laughing in my brother's face when he showed up at my door begging to move in, 3 years after his wife lied to get me thrown out onto the street. My sister-in-law told my brother I tried to kiss her. That was the lie. That was the thing she chose out of everything she could have said to get rid of me. I had just found out my ex-husband had been sleeping with my coworker for 2 years. 2 years. I found out because my coworker got pregnant and thought, for some reason, that I deserved to know before she started showing. I don't know if that was guilt or cruelty. Probably both. Either way, I lost my marriage and my job in the same week because I couldn't sit 3 desks away from her anymore. And my manager said my attitude was becoming a problem. I had no savings. My ex cleaned out our joint account before I even filed the paperwork. I had a car, 2 suitcases, and nowhere to go. My brother took me in. I want to be clear. He didn't offer warmly. He said you can stay for a month, maybe 2. My wife isn't thrilled, but she understands. That should have told me everything. But I was desperate, so I said thank you and slept on their pull-out couch and tried to be invisible. His wife was never unkind to my face. That's what made it confusing. She'd smile at dinner and ask how my job search was going and refill my glass without being asked. I thought we were fine. I thought she just needed time to warm up. 6 weeks in, my brother came home early from work and asked me to sit down at the kitchen table. His wife was already sitting there. Her eyes were red like she'd been crying, but her hands were folded too neatly in her lap for someone who was actually upset. I noticed that. I filed it away. My brother said, "She told me what happened yesterday." She looked at the table. He said, "When I was at work, she said you made a move on her." It was this involuntary, shocked sound that came out of me before I could stop it. I said, "That is insane." That did not happen. I kept telling myself it was a misunderstanding. I said, "You believe her?" He said, "I don't know what to believe, but I can't have tension in my house. You understand?" My brother helped me carry them to my car and said, "I'm sorry it worked out like this." I didn't say anything back. There was nothing to say to a man who chose to stay comfortable over choosing what was true. I slept in my car for 11 days. I'm not being dramatic. 11 days. A woman I barely knew from my old job let me use her shower twice a week. I ate gas station food and applied for jobs on my phone in parking lots. It was the lowest I have ever felt in my life, and I want you to understand that when I say low, I mean the kind of low where you sit in a dark car at 2 in the morning and wonder if you're actually going to be, okay? Or if this is just how things end for some people. I got a job. Then a better one. I moved into a studio, then a 1-bedroom, then saved enough to buy a small house on the edge of the city. It took 3 years. 3 years of not speaking to my brother, except for 2 texts on holidays that he responded to with single words. His wife never apologized. She never reached out. Neither did he. Last month, a Saturday morning, I was drinking coffee on my porch and a car pulled up in front of my house that I didn't recognize. They had bags in the back seat. Actual bags, like luggage, visible through the window. My brother looked older, tired. He walked up my porch steps and said, "Hey, we need to talk." Something about bad investments and a loan they couldn't cover and a cascade of things that led to them having 30 days to vacate. He said they'd tried everything. He said they didn't have anyone else. He said, "You're my sister." I know things ended badly. His wife stood behind him on the steps. She wouldn't look at me directly. I noticed her hands weren't folded neatly this time. They were fidgeting with her jacket zipper. And I laughed. I didn't plan to. It came out the same way it did at that kitchen table 3 years ago. That involuntary, shocked sound. Except this time, it kept going. I laughed until my eyes watered. My brother stared at me. His wife stared at the porch railing. When I stopped, I said, "You need to leave." I slept in my car. Do you know that? I slept in my car for 11 days. "And you never called to check?" She said, "I know I handled things wrong." That's not handling things wrong. That's a choice. My brother sent a long text that night explaining their situation in more detail and asking me to reconsider. I read it. I didn't respond. My aunt called me 2 days later and said I was being cold-hearted and that family is family. She went quiet. Then she said, well, she's still his wife. Like that was a reason. Like that answered something. Here's what I actually think. Some people only understand consequences when they're the ones standing in the cold. My brother is a good person who made it a coward's choice when it mattered. I think he knew his wife was lying. I think he just didn't want to deal with what knowing that would cost him. And his wife, I don't hate her anymore. Hating her took energy I don't have. But I'm not a shelter for the people who burned mine down. The lesson I keep coming back to is this: when someone shows you who they are under pressure, believe them. My brother showed me exactly who he was at that kitchen table. I just didn't want to accept it because I needed him too much. I won't make that mistake again. Am I the asshole for turning them away? Or is there a version of this where letting them in is the right call and I'm just too close to see it?
AITA for embarrassing my brother at dinner after he called sleeping with my girlfriend one mistake. I'm 27 now, but all of this started when I was 21. My older brother Jake was 30 at the time, and honestly, I used to completely trust him. Back then, I was dating my girlfriend Emily. We were both 21 and had already been together for about 3 years. At the time, the three of us were constantly around each other because my brother and I were living together. Since we all spent so much time together, I genuinely never imagined I'd ever have to worry about my own brother betraying me like this. During college, I got accepted into a 2-month study abroad program overseas. It was a huge opportunity for me, and before I left, everything seemed completely normal. Jake helped me prepare for the trip, drove me to the airport, acted supportive, and honestly seemed excited for me. Emily also acted totally normal before I left. Nothing felt suspicious at all. But when I came back home 2 months later, I immediately felt like something was wrong. Emily suddenly felt distant toward me, and my brother was acting weird every time we talked. Eventually, I found out the truth. While I was overseas, my brother and my girlfriend had been sleeping together the entire time. Not after we broke up, not after we separated. While we were still together. But what hurt even more than the cheating itself was how little remorse either of them showed afterward. Emily basically told me she couldn't help who she fell in love with. And my brother's actual response was that he deserved to be happy. That was it. No genuine apology. No accountability. Nothing. Then things somehow got even worse. After everything came out, they officially started dating each other publicly and stayed together for about a year, which made every family gathering unbelievably awkward. Some relatives thought what they did was unforgivable, but other family members kept pressuring me to move on because apparently they had fallen in love. Ever since then, my relationship with my brother has obviously never been the same. I can be civil around him, but honestly, I don't think I'll ever fully forgive him for what he did to me. Recently though, things finally exploded at a family dinner. Someone at the table mentioned how Jake and I used to be so close, and I answered honestly. I said I don't think I'll ever look at him the same way after what happened. That immediately made my brother angry. He accused me of acting immature and said I was trying to punish him forever over one mistake. And honestly, hearing him reduce everything to one mistake completely set me off. So I told him straight to his face that sleeping with your younger brother's girlfriend while he's overseas isn't some innocent mistake. It's a deliberate choice. And I said I don't owe him forgiveness just because time has passed. The entire table immediately went silent after that. Dinner became awkward as hell. And afterwards, some family members started saying I shouldn't have called him out publicly like that. They think I should have kept my feelings to myself instead of embarrassing him in front of everyone. But honestly, part of me feels like he embarrassed himself the moment he betrayed me in the first place. I didn't scream at him. I didn't insult him. I just refused to let him minimize what he did like it was some tiny accident everyone should forget about. And now half my family thinks I ruined dinner by bringing old drama back up again. So honestly, am I the asshole here?
AITA for getting engaged only a month after my fiance's sister and ruining her moment because I got pregnant. Honestly, this whole situation has turned into way more drama than I ever expected. I'm 24 and currently pregnant. The pregnancy wasn't planned at all. It was basically one careless weekend, and suddenly our lives completely changed. But despite the surprise, both me and my now fiancé are trying our best to prepare for becoming parents. For context, my fiancé and I have been together for almost 4 years now. Marriage was always something we talked about seriously, but he's always been the kind of person who worries constantly about timing and wanting everything to be perfect before taking the next step. About a month ago, his younger sister got engaged. Ever since then, she's had this whole "this is my year" mentality, and honestly, I was supportive of it. I was excited for her and never tried competing with her attention or anything like that. But then we found out I was pregnant. And weirdly, my fiancé took that as a sign that he needed to stop being scared and finally commit fully. So shortly afterward, he proposed to me. It wasn't some huge flashy proposal or giant social media event either. He simply recreated our first 2 dates together, and then we ended the night having a barbecue at my parents' house. It was actually really sweet and personal, but apparently his sister took it very differently. She texted my fiancé saying we had completely overshadowed her engagement and stolen all the attention away from her with both the pregnancy and the proposal. She complained that everywhere she went, people kept talking about us instead of her wedding. She especially got upset because her aunts were apparently talking excitedly about the pregnancy while helping her plan her wedding. The thing is, we're not even planning a wedding right now. Her wedding is next August. Meanwhile, we're mostly focused on preparing for a baby because that obviously became the bigger priority for us. Honestly though, this behavior from his sister isn't exactly new. She's always had a really short fuse when it comes to my fiancé specifically. Last year, for example, we attended a wedding together and my fiancé ended up becoming kind of the life of the party. He was dancing, socializing, hyping everyone up, and honestly just helping everyone have fun. The bride and groom even jokingly called him the life of the party. But the very next morning at breakfast, his sister completely went off on him. She called him embarrassing and accused him of being attention-seeking just for having fun and being social. That was honestly the moment I started understanding why my fiancé struggles so much with social anxiety. It feels like she constantly criticizes him anytime attention naturally shifts toward him. Anyway, recently we stayed at his parents' house for a weekend because they wanted to celebrate both the pregnancy and the fact this would be their first grandchild. Most of the weekend was actually nice. We went hiking, went to the beach, had dinners together. Things seemed mostly okay. But the entire time, his sister was visibly irritated and making passive-aggressive comments that everyone mostly tried ignoring to avoid drama. Then things finally exploded while I was washing dishes in the kitchen. His mom came in and told me I shouldn't be doing dishes and should probably be resting instead because of the pregnancy. That's when his sister suddenly laughed and sarcastically said, "I thought we weren't supposed to roll out the red carpet for unwed, unplanned pregnancies." Immediately, his mom yelled her name, shocked she'd actually say that out loud. And honestly, I snapped too. I asked her what her actual problem was with me. From there, everything turned into a huge screaming argument. His mom started crying while trying to pull his sister away. Both my fiancé and her fiancé came running in from the other room. And the entire weekend basically fell apart after that. Later, my fiancé told me he wished I hadn't responded to her because things between him and his sister are already tense enough without making it worse. Part of me honestly feels guilty because I know conflict with his sister really affects him emotionally and stresses him out badly. But another part of me feels like I shouldn't have to quietly sit there while she insults me just to keep some fake peace that clearly doesn't even exist anymore. So now I honestly don't know. Am I actually the asshole for responding to her?